November 1975, New York City. Rachel Morrison stood in her bedroom holding the one thing she couldn't bear to lose and the only thing worth enough money to save her family, her father's guitar, a 1965 Martin acoustic. Sunburst finish worn down to bare wood where her father's hand had rested for 10 years. The strings needed changing. The neck had a slight warp. There was a crack along the side he'd never repaired. It wasn't worth much. Maybe $200. Maybe less. But to Rachel, it was everything. James Morrison had died 2 months ago. Heart attack. 42 years old. Dropped dead while teaching guitar lessons in their living room. Rachel had been at school. Senior year, 17 years old, planning for college. Her mother had picked her up early. There's been an accident. That's how fast life changes. The funeral cleaned out their savings. James had been a music teacher. Private lessons, small gigs at local bars, barely enough to pay rent. He hadn't had life insurance. Nobody thinks they're going to die at 42. Now Rachel's mother was working double shifts at the hospital. They were 2 months behind on rent. The landlord was threatening eviction. They needed money. Fast. Rachel had gone through the apartment looking for anything valuable. But the guitar was worth the most. This was the guitar her father had taught her to play on. The guitar he'd held every single day. The guitar that smelled like him. She'd held it every night since he died, running her fingers over the worn wood, trying to remember what his hands looked like when they formed chords. G, C, D, the first 3 chords he'd taught her when she was 8. You learn these 3, baby girl, you can play 1,000 songs. But talent doesn't pay rent. They needed $200 by Friday, or they were out on the street. So Rachel wrapped the guitar in an old blanket, put it in the case her father had bought at a yard sale, latched it shut, and prepared to sell the last piece of her father she had left. The pawn shop was 6 blocks away. Rachel had been there before with her father. He'd sold his electric guitar there 3 years ago. Pawn shops are thieves, her father had said, but sometimes you need thieves. Rachel walked slowly. The guitar case felt heavier with every step. The November air was cold. That New York cold that cuts through your jacket. Rachel's denim jacket was worn thin. Too small now. Her father had given it to her when she turned 14. The streets were busy, yellow cabs honking, buses rumbling past. Nobody noticed the 17-year-old girl carrying a guitar case. Rachel's hands were shaking, not from the cold, from what she was about to do. Selling this guitar felt like burying her father twice. She stopped at a crosswalk. Across the street, she could see the pawn shop. Cash for anything. Her stomach twisted. Maybe she could find another way. Get a job. Work after school. But that would take time. And they didn't have time. The light changed. People started walking. Rachel didn't move. The light changed back to red. Rachel still didn't move. And then someone stopped next to her. That's a beautiful case. Rachel looked up. A man stood next to her. Older, maybe mid-30s, curly dark hair, black sunglasses even though the sun was behind clouds, black denim jacket, dark jeans. He was looking at the guitar case. Thanks, Rachel said quietly. What kind of guitar? Martin, 1965. The man's eyebrows went up above his sunglasses. That's a good guitar. You play? Rachel nodded. My father taught me. Is he a musician? Rachel's throat tightened. He was. He died 2 months ago. The man was quiet for a moment. I'm sorry. Thanks. The light changed. Rachel started to walk. The man walked next to her. Where are you going? He asked. Rachel gestured ahead. Pawn shop, I'm selling it. The man stopped walking. You're selling your father's guitar? I need the money. How much do you need? Rachel looked at him, this stranger asking about her life. Why do you care? The man smiled slightly. Because I know what it's like to sell something that matters, and I know you don't want to do this. He was right. Rachel felt tears pressing against her eyes. We're behind on rent. My mom's working 2 jobs. We need $200 or we're getting evicted. They won't give you $200. They'll offer $50, maybe $75. That guitar is probably worth $1,000. But they'll give you $75 and sell it for $800. Rachel's stomach dropped. Can I see it? The man asked. Why? Because I want to know if it's worth saving. Something about the way he said it made Rachel believe him. Okay, she said quietly. They sat on the cold sidewalk, right there on a busy New York street, and Rachel Morrison opened her father's guitar case for the last time. The man took off his sunglasses. His eyes were intense, focused. He reached for the guitar. May I? Rachel nodded. He lifted it carefully, reverently, examined the body, ran his fingers over the worn finish. Your father played this a lot. Every day for 10 years. You can tell, this guitar was loved. He tested the strings, adjusted them quickly, professionally. Then he played a chord, G major. The sound filled the street. Rich, warm, perfect. People walking past slowed down, looked. The man played C, then D. The first three chords Rachel's father had taught her. This is a great guitar. The tone is beautiful. Martins from this era are special. He handed the guitar back to her. Play something for me. Why? Because I want to hear what this guitar sounds like when someone who loves it plays it. Rachel's hands were shaking. She hadn't played since her father died. I don't think I can, she whispered. Try. Rachel took the guitar, found the G chord, and she played. The song came out broken. Rachel's fingers fumbled on the first chord. Her voice cracked on the opening line. But she played. A song her father had written. 3 chords. Words about a little girl learning guitar. She remembered him writing it. She'd been 8 years old, sitting on the floor of their living room. He'd been at the kitchen table with a pencil and paper, humming melodies, testing words. He'd looked up and seen her watching. This one's for you, baby girl. Baby girl with strings and dreams, nothing's quite the way it seems, but you'll find your way someday, through the music that you play. She sang with tears running down her face, her voice breaking on every other word. But the guitar sounded perfect, that warm, rich Martin tone her father had loved, the sound that had filled their apartment every single day. The stranger listened, completely still, not moving, not interrupting, his eyes never leaving her face. More people had stopped now, a dozen, then 20, standing on the sidewalk, watching this 17-year-old girl crying over a guitar. Some of them had tears in their own eyes, strangers feeling the weight of her grief. When she finished, Rachel couldn't look up, just sat there holding the guitar, the emotion of 2 months pouring out, the grief, the fear, the exhaustion of trying to be strong for her mother, the guilt of having to sell her father's guitar. All of it coming out on a cold New York sidewalk. The stranger didn't say anything for a long moment. Let her cry, let her feel it, didn't rush her. Finally he spoke, his voice gentle. Your father wrote that? Rachel nodded, wiping her eyes with her sleeve. When? When I was 8, the first time he taught me to play. It's beautiful, really beautiful. The melody, the words, but especially the way you sang it, like you meant every word. I did mean it. He wrote it about me, about teaching me music. The stranger's expression changed, something in his eyes, recognition, understanding, like he knew exactly what it meant to have a song written for you by someone you loved. What was his name, the stranger asked. James Morrison. He was a good father, the best. He'd be proud of you for trying to help your family, for being willing to give up something you love. Rachel looked at the guitar. But I don't want to give it up. I have to. That's different. I know. More people had stopped. A small crowd gathering. 30 people now, all watching, all waiting to see what would happen next. The man looked at the crowd, looked back at Rachel. How much do you need? 200? Yeah, for rent and food and my mom's medication. The man reached into his jacket, pulled out a wallet. Rachel watched him count bills. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He held them out. $5,000. Rachel stared. What? For your family. I can't take that. I don't even know you. You don't have to know me. But the guitar? No, you keep the guitar. The money's a gift. But why? Who are you? Someone in the crowd gasped. "Oh my God, that's Bob Dylan." Rachel looked at the man. "You're what?" The man stood up, helped Rachel to her feet. The crowd was growing, all staring, whispering. Rachel looked at the money in her shaking hands. "You're Bob Dylan." "Yeah, the Bob Dylan." He smiled. "Yeah." Rachel couldn't process it. "I can't accept this. This is too much." "It's exactly what you need." "But why?" "Because 20 years ago I was broke, living in New York, and someone helped me when I needed it, gave me money, didn't ask for anything back, just said, 'Someday when you can, help someone else.'" He gestured at the money. "So I'm helping someone else, and someday when you can, you do the same." "I don't know what to say." "Don't say anything. Just promise me you'll keep playing. Your father's song was beautiful. Don't let that music die with him." "I promise." Dylan nodded. "Good." He started to walk away. Rachel called out, "Wait, will I ever see you again?" He turned back. "If you keep playing, probably." Musicians have a way of finding each other. And then he disappeared into the New York crowd, leaving Rachel standing there holding her father's guitar and $5,000. Rachel stood there, the crowd watching, the guitar in one hand, the money in the other. Bob Dylan had just given her $5,000. A man in the crowd approached. "I saw what just happened. That was incredible." "Why would he do that?" "Because that's who Dylan is. He's been helping people for years, musicians, people struggling. He just does it quietly." Rachel looked at the money. "I was about to sell my father's guitar for $200, and instead Bob Dylan played it and told me to keep it. Your father would be proud." The crowd dispersed, people going back to their lives. But for Rachel, everything had changed. She put the guitar back in its case, folded the money, zipped it in her pocket, and walked home. Her mother was going to cry. But they weren't getting evicted. They could pay rent, buy food, get medication. They were going to be okay because a stranger in black sunglasses had stopped and decided to help. Rachel Morrison didn't sell her father's guitar that day, or any day after. She kept it for the rest of her life. She used the $5,000 to pay rent, 6 months covered, gave her mother enough for medication, for food, for breathing room. Her mother cried when Rachel told her, didn't believe it at first. But when Rachel showed her the money, she just held her and sobbed. Rachel kept playing, every day, learning new songs, writing her own. She graduated high school, got a scholarship to music school, graduated top of her class. By 25, Rachel was playing in clubs, small venues, building a following. By 30, she'd released her first album, dedicated to her father, called it 3 Chords and Dreams. The opening track was her father's song, the one she'd played for Bob Dylan on that sidewalk. Critics loved it, called her voice raw and honest. She never forgot that November day, never forgot the stranger who saved her family, who saved her father's guitar. She told the story in interviews, at concerts, about the day Bob Dylan appeared like an angel in sunglasses. "He told me to help someone else someday, so I try, every chance I get." Rachel started a foundation for young musicians from poor families, giving them instruments, lessons, opportunities. She'd meet kids who couldn't afford guitars, who wanted to learn, who had talent but no money. "My father taught me music. Bob Dylan taught me generosity. Now I'm teaching you, and someday you'll teach someone else. That's how it works." 30 years later. 2005. Rachel Morrison was 52. An established musician, playing a benefit concert in New York. The venue was packed. She was halfway through her set when she noticed someone in the back. Black clothes, sunglasses, curly hair now gray. Bob Dylan. Rachel stopped playing, stared. The crowd turned, saw Dylan. The room erupted. Dylan walked forward, up to the stage. Rachel stood frozen, her father's 1965 Martin in her hands. 30 years old now, even more worn, even more loved. Dylan climbed onto the stage. "Is that the same guitar?" Rachel nodded, couldn't speak. "May I?" She handed it to him. Dylan held it, played G major. "Still sounds beautiful." I kept my promise. I never stopped playing. I can see that. You've done well. Because of you. No, you saved your own life by refusing to give up, by keeping this guitar. He turned to the crowd. This woman was 17. Her father had just died. She was about to sell this guitar for $200, and I was lucky enough to be there, to stop her. He looked back at Rachel. You've helped hundreds of people. Your foundation, your teaching, that's legacy. Play something together, someone called out. Dylan looked at Rachel. You want to? Yeah. They played her father's song. 3 chords, simple melody. Baby girl with strings and dreams. Nothing's quite the way it seems, but you'll find your way someday through the music that you play. The crowd sang along, some crying, some smiling. When the song ended, Dylan hugged Rachel. Then he walked off stage, out of the venue, back into the New York night. Rachel Morrison died in 2019 at 66. Cancer. She played music until the end. Her father's guitar beside her hospital bed. In her will, she left the guitar to her daughter, who left it to her daughter. 3 generations playing the same 1965 Martin. Rachel's foundation continues, giving instruments to kids who can't afford them. Over 2,000 kids helped since 1980. On the foundation wall hangs a photo, 1975. Bob Dylan sitting on a New York sidewalk. Rachel Morrison next to him, the guitar between them. Below it, a plaque. James Morrison taught his daughter music. Bob Dylan taught her generosity. Rachel Morrison taught hundreds. The chain never breaks. Because some things are worth more than money. Some things can't be sold. James Morrison's guitar could have ended up in a pawn shop. Instead, it lived. It played. It taught. It carried memory forward. Because one cold November day, a stranger in sunglasses stopped a 17-year-old girl from making the biggest mistake of her life. Bob Dylan didn't just save a guitar, he saved a family. He saved a future. Rachel Morrison kept her father's guitar. And in doing so, she kept his memory alive. She kept music alive. She kept hope alive. That's what legacy means. Not what you own, but what you protect, what you pass down. The guitar is still being played, still teaching, still carrying forward the lessons of a father who died too young and a daughter who refused to let his memory fade. Sometimes you're holding something irreplaceable and you don't even know it. Sometimes a stranger appears when you're about to lose everything. Keep the guitar, keep the memory, keep playing. Because 3 chords can change the world. James Morrison died at 42, but his music never died. Because his daughter kept the guitar. Because Bob Dylan understood what was at stake. That's the power of keeping what matters. That's the power of one moment on one sidewalk. The chain never breaks unless we let it.